Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Fiduciary Wealth Management webinar. My name is Matt Penfold. I'm here in the Fiduciary Wealth virtual office once again to deliver today's webinar, which is on the subject of second opinion analysis. And what is this? And how can it help you? So, brief intro. As I say, my name is Matt Penfold, advisor and director here at Fiduciary Wealth Management. Simple introduction of us. We're here to help expats navigate the complicated financial landscape that you now find yourself in, having exited the UK. And an important part of that could be the second opinion analysis. And I will get into the webinar now, explain what that is, why you should do this, how it can help you, and how we can offer this service for you. So a second opinion analysis can come in different forms. Now, this is a service that we actually offer to trustees on a professional capacity. They're trustees of investment portfolios for their clients, and we analyze the underlying investments and the structure to give our professional opinion. So it's something that we're very familiar with, but we also extend that offer to individuals. So really, the second opinion analysis is looking at your investments or your personal finances, what you have set up, reviewing that, and giving an independent analysis of how that looks. So that will review different areas, which I will come to shortly. But it's very important for you to do this. The main reason could be simply peace of mind. You have your pensions, your investments, your savings, and maybe you've already relocated to Spain, Portugal, Gibraltar, or elsewhere in Europe, and you want to make sure that everything is running smoothly. You don't really want to spend too much time on that, and you just want to enjoy your new lifestyle and let the experts deal with that. Now, in my experience, what we've seen in the past is that when someone is relocating to a new country, you become kind of overwhelmed with different things. You also have the kind of excitement of moving to a new country and starting your new life there. So when it comes to reviewing your finances, we've seen individuals who completely ignore this. They think, okay, I have everything set up in the UK. That's run perfectly well for me. I will leave that as it is. We come across people who it's not their number one priority, so they make a quick decision. Maybe they go to the advisor that they've seen an online advert or in the paper. They've gone to an advisor. They're at the end of the road, or they're in the nearest town to us. That would be convenient. And they've never really kind of looked deeply into kind of what is happening, because as expats, we're unfamiliar with our new country and the different changes, and therefore it's important to kind of understand the differences so you know that your finances are operating in the best way possible, because the money that you have saved, you've worked hard to build up your pensions, your investments. You want to make sure that you have enough to sustain your lifestyle in retirement, and B, we want to pass this on to our next of kin if we don't spend it all while we're still here. So where does the second opinion analysis come into it? So maybe you've had one of those situations and you think, you know what? And why wouldn't you? An independent opinion may help, and then we may look at this and it may say, you know what, this is set up perfectly. We can assure you have that kind of second peace of mind. And we take a kind of deep dive of this. It's not a case of just looking for mistakes, and this is a analytical review of everything. And I can tell from past experiences when we've done this that there's a lot of different things that we spot, which could be very costly to the individual. if we hadn't done so. Examples that come to mind. I remember this year I was speaking to an individual who was based in Portugal. We had this conversation. He had an advisor. He was a British national who moved to France and then moved to Portugal a couple of years ago, and Portugal is now his home for the foreseeable future. Firstly, when that individual moved to Portugal, he didn't really do it properly, and he never applied for the NHR, which is a non-habitual residency scheme, which has a lot of tax advantages. We have a webinar that covers that. And an issue with the NHR is if you don't, you need to register for that for your first tax year. If you miss that, then it's too late. So his advisor should have mentioned that at the time. But more importantly, when we reviewed his portfolio, his investments were held in a French qualifying bond. Still, if he lived in France, great, but he didn't. He lived in Portugal. So the tax advantages of that bond were no longer advantageous. He lives in Portugal. He was paying fees for that bond, which he didn't need to do because it adds no value at all. And also there's tax efficient products he could have used in Portugal. So we reviewed that. We found a few issues with the investments, and pointed this out to the individual. We produced a report. He took that away, and we were able to work with that individual who is now a client of ours, and we have a great relationship with them. So the sort of things that we've identified in the past is maybe you will be paying too many fees. Now in the UK, the fee structure is very clear, and we operate on that model because we are a UK authorized firm. But in countries like Spain and Portugal, the payment of commission structures is still a possibility. So there may be fees that you are paying that are hidden from you that you're unaware of. So reviewing that is very important because fees can be a real drag on the value of your investments. Then it's worth reviewing the tax efficiency. Kind of similar to the example I gave about the gentleman in Portugal, but you need to ensure that the structures you have that are in place are the most tax efficient for where you are tax resident. So again, go back to earlier in the webinar when I mentioned about those who exited the UK but just left all their investments there. You are making a mistake there. You may have money in ISAs. As soon as you exit the UK, the ISA wrapper is no longer valid. Spain, Portugal, all the other countries don't recognize that. So you will have to pay tax on those investments. So not only you may be unaware of that. So if you're unaware, you're not reporting this to the tax authorities, there could be fines and penalties involved. There are alternatives that you are missing out on because there are opportunities for tax planning for expats that we can take advantage of, and you don't want to miss out on those. So the tax efficiency is very important. Your investments, pension should be in line with where you are tax resident. It should also consider what is your future plans. Because if you have an individual who's, say, living in Portugal, but they intend to return in 10 years at the end of the NHR to the UK, we should plan with that in mind. If you're pretty sure that you're going to spend the rest of your life in Portugal or Spain, then we plan that with in mind. There should always be the option to reverse this, because from our experience, we still see people returning to the UK when maybe they didn't intend to. Maybe that's because of health issues, or they want to spend more time with the family, for whatever reason that is. The other thing that should be assessed is your risk profile and the risk profile of your investments. So for any investments that are managed on your behalf, you should have completed a risk profile. Some of these are quite detailed, some of these are quite basic. And the investments should be in line with your risk tolerance. Now, generally what happens is, as we go through life, our risk tolerance changes. As we're working, we're building up our capital, we tend to take a little bit more risk with our investments because we've got more time. When we stop working, we retire, we tend to reduce the risk because we can't add to that part. So it's more about retaining your capital and giving you an income in retirement. So it's very important that the risk is in line with your risk tolerance, because otherwise, if there's a misalignment, if you could be taking too much risk, and there's potential loss of your funds, which of course we want to avoid. The other thing that's important is the underlying investments. So you have a pension, or you have a bond or investment portfolio. The underlying investments will be held, and that's will dictate how well that investment portfolio or pension will perform, and therefore how much money you will have at the end of the year compared to the start of the year, and continuing for the next few years. From our experience, the level of investment expertise and care that's taken to kind of construct investment portfolios in the kind of offshore financial business varies greatly. We see some really good portfolios externally, and we see some really poor ones. And sometimes we're unsure about the motivations for those investments. We do know in the past that you may have a very large financial advising company, and there's one I have in mind, that they have their own investments. So they're not investing that money because they think this is the best place to invest for you and has the most potential growth for you. Their main motivation for investing that is because those funds will generate additional revenue for them. So if you do have a financial advisor and your underlying investments are invested in that company's own funds, you should really question that. We also see that some firms may have agreements with different fund managers. They put X amount of business in those funds, and they may kind of share the revenue. Again, that's a big warning sign. We've seen it before, and some of these firms, we can predict where they're going to invest some money, regardless of what's happening in the financial world at the moment. Again, you need to avoid that. So what you want is a truly independent investment portfolio that's based on your risk profile, your risk tolerance, and is invested to meet your needs. Is that growth, income, maybe a bit of both, and invested in areas where there is, potential for you to make a return in line with your risk profile. And I think the final reason for a second opinion analysis is that things change. In the financial world, it's ever changing. There's regulatory changes, but there's also kind of product changes, and there's also changes to taxation in different countries. And so we are constantly keeping up to date with that, and there may be products available for you that would be perfectly suitable and tax efficient for you that may not have been available when your investments were set up. It may have been that your advisor was unaware of those. It may be because of regulatory changes that the investments you hold now are not appropriate for you. Or there may have been changes in taxation. We see this quite a lot in Spain, particularly. I think that's mainly because in Spain, taxation is part is driven by the state, but part is driven by the regional governments. So you may have one party in power over the country, but a different party in charge of your region, and they can control certain taxes. And so they may change their approach to, say, succession tax, wealth tax, income tax, savings tax, and things like that. So it's important that you, as somebody on your behalf, i.e. your advisor, keeps up with those and make sure that your portfolio continues in line with what is happening now. So really that's a reality, and I think by kind of conclusion, what I would say is if you have recently moved across to Spain and Portugal, or you've been here for some time, there really is no harm in coming to us and asking for a second opinion analysis. We will do the work for you. All we will need is access to valuations or statements, things like that you can easily send us to by email. We are currently offering the service free of charge. Quite likely we haven't put a time limit, but it's going to be a limited time period because we can't do this for everyone. But it's at the moment it's a free offer. Take advantage of that. We will give our opinion. At ideal world, we come back to you and say, look, everything looks perfect for us. You're on the right track. And then you have that peace of mind, and you know you've had that review. If there are issues with the structure of the investments, we will point out what those issues are, the reason why we're saying that. But we can also highlight solutions for you as well. So we won't come to you with just bad news. We'll come to you, look, this is where we are. This is where we should be. This is what you can do to resolve that. So for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer. So feel free to reach out for us. I will bring up our contact details again now here on the screen. So you should be able to see that. So just a reminder, it's Fiduciary Wealth Management. We're based in Gibraltar, but we cover Europe, mainly Gibraltar, Spain, Portugal, and the UK. We are regulated here, our home country in Gibraltar. We're also authorized to give advice in the UK, and all our advisors are regulated to give advice in the EU as part of a network. So fiduciarywealth.gi is our website. You can contact us via email on inquiries with an E at fwm.gi. You can give us a call on 00350 200 50982. I'm sure you want to know who you're dealing with, so not only visit our website, but feel free to go to our Trustpilot account and see independent reviews on there. You may be watching this webinar on YouTube, or if not, go to YouTube and there's many more webinars like this, but we also have client video testimonials, which should give you a flavor of the sort of service that we offer to our clients. There'll be lots more webinars coming your way on different subjects, so subscribe to our channel and you have free access to that content. But for now, I say thank you for watching today. Feel free to reach out. I urge you to do so. And I look forward to speaking to some of you soon. So thank you and goodbye.